Good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome to the Volquest Mailbag Podcast. I am Eric Kane alongside Austin Price, Brent Hubbs, and Grant Ramey. A lot going on right now this week on the site, on the General's Quarters. And if you're listening and watching and not a member of the site, you can check us out for 2 days, $1. $1 for 2 days. And you don't want to miss any of the information as Tennessee's looking for a defensive coordinator. Basketball will get going again next week. Transfer portal rumors are swirling and all that for next month. And, of course, Tennessee's going to get going to the bowl game later this month with practices resuming next week. So come join us over here at volquest.com. We will jump into some questions. We'll start with JBGee. If you could change anything about the basketball and football programs that, in your opinion, would get them closer to winning a championship, what would that be?
Get a better draw in the regional final in basketball. I think they've played 2 Final Four games in the regional final the last 2 years. I'm not trying to be funny or flip it, but I mean, part of winning a basketball championship, Grant, is the right draw. And I mean, the Purdue-Tennessee regional championship game was a legit Final Four or Monday night caliber championship basketball game. Fair or not fair?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's such a hard question to ask, at least for basketball, because they've been so close the last couple of years. But still, it feels like when I was sitting there watching that Houston Elite Eight game in March, it just felt like Houston was at a different level. And for a lot of that Purdue game, it just felt like there was stuff that Purdue could do that Tennessee couldn't match. And it's not that Tennessee's not fully invested. It's not that they're all in on basketball. It's just that it's hard to take that last step to truly be elite, to be that Final Four team, to be a team that could play on Monday night in the national championship game. Like it's hard to get to that point, obviously, but it's also just even more difficult to take that final step because you're trying to compete against Dukes, Kentuckys, North Carolinas, all the blue bloods in the sport.
Football-wise, Austin, they got to play complementary football. They got in the playoffs because they were good on defense and they were just okay on offense. They didn't get in this year, but despite being really good on offense or being good on offense, they just weren't good enough on defense. They got to have a year where they're good on both sides of the ball and play off of each other better than they have to this point in the Heupel era.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to 2022. I mean, in this modern day, they would have been hosting a home playoff game, and all that good stuff. But they were a offense-heavy team, very little defense in 22. You're right, 2 years later it flipped. The defense carried them to the CFP. And this year it was kind of back to, it depended on the game, right? I mean, the offense would look unreal against Georgia. Defense looked not very good. And the defense would do enough to put you in the game against somebody like Oklahoma, and you threw 2 bad picks. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, I think you have to find a year where you can marry it together.
We'll go to a question that was asked in the Monday night chat earlier this week from PortCityVol. Do you think the Vols' inability to stop the run this season was attributed more to scheme or personnel?
Well, I mean, I think they've run a very similar scheme for every year that Tim Banks was a defensive coordinator. And I think they've been solid at stopping the run. They weren't this year. I don't think their tackle play was, their tackle play in my mind wasn't as good as I expected it to be. Okay. I thought they would have better tackle play than what they got. I don't think that the Leos played the run very well or very consistently. I don't know that they were as married across the front four as they've been the last, few years with kind of maybe with Chop coming in and taking more of control of that room and running that room. Whereas previously when Eckler was in charge of that room, Rodney Garner just ran it and Eckler was the special teams coach. Did that create any issue there? I don't think their linebacker fits were good. I just don't think they played well. I don't know that they were out-schemed a ton necessarily other than maybe Vanderbilt, and they didn't have a schematic answer to what Vanderbilt was doing with the running quarterback. I think some of the other stuff was just, they got pushed around at times up front.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts up front. It's certainly not just the defensive line, but it does start up there. I mean, they just had guys getting pushed out of gaps, not holding gaps. Linebackers over-pursued so much. Not taking alley plays inside out, and then your secondary. So many times I felt like those guys were coming up just trying for the knockout blow, and this team created a lot of takeaways. Don't get me wrong, but how many times did they have missed tackles because they didn't wrap up, or they went for the shot and they didn't wrap up and they got bounced off them and kept going? That plus poor angles that we saw a lot. I mean, I think it was a number of different things. I think it does start up front though with defensive linemen not holding their gap integrity. Go to Bleed Orange 23. The basketball team has lots of new pieces, but Ament is a freshman, and despite his physical skills, looks like one. He seemed to be way off in finding his game on offense and often lost on defense. He just hasn't been the plug-and-play guy that DK or Chaz was the last couple of years. It seems like JP is the guy who can be the glue if he can stay healthy. Grant Ramey, your thoughts?
Well, Dalton and Chaz had played a lot more college basketball before they got to Tennessee than obviously Nate Ament did. Patience is probably the answer, but nobody wants to hear it because he's likely going to be a very different player 4 months from now than he is right now. He is struggling, but there were nights where Dalton Connect struggled. In San Antonio, I think against NC State in a neutral site game, he scored like 2 points in 19 minutes, and everybody thought he was broken, and that was the end of that. And there were a lot of nights where Chaz struggled as well, so he's going to struggle while he figures it out, and you're just going to have to be patient with him a little bit while he figures it out. But, JP right now, yeah, he could be a volume scorer if he gets healthy and stays healthy and can play the minutes he needs to play. Jacoby can be a volume scorer. We've seen that from time to time this season. He's going to have to hit shots a little bit more consistently, but we've seen that. Jalen Carey can score it for you, so I don't know who the plug-and-play scorer is because Nate's not going to be DK or not going to be Chaz right now, but I think he could develop into something different if you give him time to because he's just so raw as a freshman.
Big Shot Rob, your top 3 positions of need in the portal with Banks' exit. Which players or how many players should we keep an eye on hitting the portal, if any? Let's start there, Austin. With Tim Banks leaving, anybody to keep an eye on that might want to leave in the transfer portal?
I don't ask. They asked me this on national radio on Tuesday, and I just can't think that it impacts anybody in particular. I'm not saying they didn't like Tim Banks, because I think they did, but I just don't think it impacts anybody.
Like that wouldn't already maybe be going.
Yeah, correct. As for the top positions in the portal, I mean, safety for me, interior defensive line would be 2, and then you have to find a quarterback, whether it's a depth piece or a starter or whatever. You have to go out and find another body at quarterback, and again, that could impact. You may have to go out and find 2, Brent. You never know with how things transpire, but for me, it all starts on the defensive side of the ball, safety and the interior defensive line. And if you could just get an unreal edge guy, that's you go get a guy like that too.
Yeah, I co-sign. I mean, I think that you got to have a safety. To me, it all starts in it's a safety position. They've got to be better there. That cleans up. That can help clean up some things across the board on your defense. So to me, it starts there. I think you always take mature defensive linemen who can help you. They got to be able to help you. Okay, it can't be what you did last year, but you got to go find somebody if you're going to take somebody who can help. And then I'm with Austin. I'm with you. I mean, there are teams in the NFL draft who are going to draft a pass rusher even if they don't need one because they're just hard to find. So if you can find an elite pass rusher, a proven pass rusher of some kind to go with that group, then yeah, I would certainly jump on one of those. And a quarterback's a given. We know that they've got to have somebody for just to add to that room, whether they're the starter or whether they're a depth piece. They can't go into next year with 2 scholarship quarterbacks.
And that's assuming somebody leaves, and I know we've been pretty consistent in that regard. That
and maybe they don't. I mean, but I still don't. I mean, I think they're going to end up in the quarterback market. Is what I think will end up happening.
Vol Guy 9595. Brent, what are your most memorable, favorite, or surprising moments in your time, 30 years or something, covering the Tennessee Volunteers?
I could go forever on a bunch of different directions with this one. I mean,
wait for the book.
Do it, and that'll wrap up the podcast.
I mean, in terms of games covered, I mean, the Hail Mary at Georgia is one that just jumps out. I mean, surprising moment. That one was one because you didn't see that coming. On the flip side of it, you had a bunch of disappointing moments. You had the Cordy Anderson fumble at Alabama. You had they had the euphoria of Travis Stevens in 0-1 against Georgia at home, which would have been one of the elite plays in Tennessee football history that's completely dismissed because of the hobnail boot at the end with the middle squib and all of those types of stuff. So those are some on-the-field things. Off the field, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I enjoyed stalking John Curry in the parking lot and catching him off guard. On the day he made a coaching change. That was, some satisfaction in that one because I figured out where he was and what he was doing. Young in my career, helping me get the Jerry Green story. I felt that was the first time I'd really helped as a reporter win a story and have information. I had something he didn't have. I gave him something that he went and got the second confirmation on. So for a young guy, that was kind of the big wow moment in terms of breaking a story early on in my career. I could go on and on with that. But I woke up when Butch Jones was hired. I woke up. I was sleeping with my phone under my pillow. Everybody knew they were trying to get Butch Jones. Could they get it to the finish line? And when you went to bed at like 1:30, it wasn't done. And I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning. My phone buzzed, and I had a voicemail from someone on campus telling me it was done. I didn't know that person had my number. That's the only time that person, who no longer works at Tennessee, it's the only time that person called me. It's the only conversation we ever had. But it was enough of a confirmation that, you got to break that story that it was done. I have no idea why that person called me. No clue. Never dealt with them in any other capacity and working any story. Just they were in the room and helping get that thing to the finish line, and they left me a message that said, "Hey, just want to let you know it's done. We got to cross the finish line with it. It's signed." I have no idea why that person called me, but they did, and that's part of the bizarreness of our job. You can think you have everything laid out. And Grant, Austin, Eric, you guys know this. You can think you have every base covered, that you're going to get taken care of. Somebody's going to help you out on this story. And then you look up and you got beat on the story. And you're trying to figure out, what did I miss? What step did I miss that my sources didn't help me out, or my sources didn't know? And then you may get one out of left field that you like, how did I stumble into this thing? I don't have any idea as to how I landed this deal at all. That's the crazy part. Sometimes it's rewarding, and sometimes it's absolutely bang your head against the wall, maddening that you don't get what you need to get. John Curry texted me from a Waffle House, sent me a picture of him at the Waffle House while he was in the coaching search before he lost his job, which was kind of bizarre. Like, "Hey, where am I?" I'm like, "Really? That's what we're doing here?" Okay. And so, there's been bizarre moments like that. Then there's been, a lot of fun moments and a lot of good moments.
Can't wait for the book.
You want me to go
so much more?
Do you want me to go on? You want me to tell the Peyton Manning story, how he hosed me from a day with my because I waited on him to throw in Knoxville, and he decided to throw outside in the rain instead of being in the complex when I was camped out in the hallway at the old Stokely Athletic Center waiting for him to drive in. Found out that people were around looking for him. I had tracked him properly on how he was getting from Durham, North Carolina to Knoxville. I thought I had gotten that one. And that's a guy I never got. I never got anything from him. I never could beat him for any of his news. He was in complete control always, and always has been and always will be. He was, he's the best at making sure his circle's tight enough and nobody's going to violate that circle of trust and nobody gives you anything. So I thought I had that one. I thought I was going to win the day on that one. Even nationally, I thought that I might be able to get some love out of that, but I got absolutely nothing out of that deal. Zero, nothing at all.
You mentioned having stuff laid out and like you think you've got it all ready to go, and then it's just radio silence when it happens. That's happened to me a couple times. That's always fun.
Yeah, that's bizarre. That's really crazy. So all of them are different. I think that's right. That's the crazy thing. Like Dave Hart's was really bizarre because I had somebody in Stillwater, Oklahoma, drive by Gundy's house, and he's like, "Hey, they're in there. They're in the living room." Who goes to somebody's house for a job to interview them in a college football coach's search? Most of these things are done in some hotel high rise or some basement somewhere, whatever. And Dave Hart just flew to Stillwater, landed on a plane, and just drove right to Gundy's house and just went in and talked to him and interviewed him in his living room. Like that was totally bizarre. I got a tip that the Haslam plane was going to get a basketball coach, or was going to interview a basketball coach, or maybe bringing a basketball coach home. And I'm camped out at the airport at TAC Air, and they landed at night. They opened up the back of the plane and they rolled off 6 bicycles, which was for Mr. Haslam's grandchildren. They had decided the weather was good. They would fly to Hilton Head for the day to ride bicycles and then come back home that night.
What a life.
So I look up and there's all these bicycles and kids getting off an airplane. I'm like, where's the coach, man? We got no coach. We got no coaching candidate. We don't have Doug Dickey. We don't have anybody involved in this. It's just literally his grandkids going, thanks, Grandpa. Appreciate the trip to the beach for the afternoon to ride bikes.
You got some great TAC Air moments there.
I do have some great TAC Air.
Moments that remind you of that scene from Con Air where they changed the transponder over there to that old person's plane where they're sightseeing, and they pull up there ready to blow it away, and the guy looks over and the little lady's like.
So, I mean, when Kevin Stallings came to town for the day with Doug Dickey, I basically followed them around town all day. Like, where are they having lunch at? They ate lunch at Cherokee, blah, 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 blah. So I'm at TAC Air waiting for Kevin Stallings to leave. Literally, I'm standing at the entrance to TAC Air with my arms crossed like I'm some kind of security guard. And Dickey looks at me and goes, you know he ain't talking to you, don't you? I got to be here just in case. So literally, I waved at Kevin Stallings, who had seen me at random places throughout the day in Knoxville, because I'd basically just stalked him around town all day long because everybody assumed it was going to be Kevin Stallings. I had help from someone at TAC Air to tell me Jerry Green was on the airplane coming in because I had been to TAC Air so much. Austin, that bizarre day that I was at TAC Air, we were working the deal where Pruitt was going to get fired, but he was going to the West Coast to see Henry, was just bizarre. I mean, I wouldn't call either of those favorite, or maybe bizarre is a better word than any of those things. But
or when I was on Kingston Pike and we got word that Danny had been in Atlanta to interview Tony Elliott, and we went. I went out there to TAC Air, and I get out there, and here comes Cam, Danny, like Bigfoot silhouettes walking from the hangar out to the SUV, and I followed the SUV all the way back to the hotel downtown, and was on the phone with Kevin Steele.
Yeah, I drove by the complex that night. Kevin Steele's car was in the building over there. Everything about that deal was completely wild. So anyway, that's a lot more than what Vol guy asked for, but there's a few snapshots of some things that have happened, good, bad, and indifferent. More of it off the field than on the field.
And now everybody on campus who's still currently on campus knows we were tracking people back then.
Well, that's part. Thanksgiving weekend when they're going to hire Lane Kiffin, I set out. Thanksgiving week, I sat outside Mike Hamilton's office in the floor because he was going to North Carolina and for holidays, and God rest his soul. And I just sat in the floor and waited on him to come out, just to make sure he didn't have content.
The old Stokey.
Yeah, and I sent a message to someone that said, I'm out here. And they're like, oh, we're fully aware that you're sitting out there in the floor. I said, well, I'm not leaving till he leaves. And they're like, yeah, we're fully aware of that. That's the case. Ed Orgeron signing up for Volquest was a bizarre one. That was a surprising deal. You go in and look at the signups for the day, and it's Ed Orgeron's wife. And she put in the information like home address, Mandeville, Louisiana. It was not like they tried to be somebody else. So it's like, okay, this is real. I guess he's going to be on staff here. So that one was different. Anyway, there's been good moments where you fell into stuff, and there's been moments where you didn't land anything.
We would be remiss not to say RIP TAC Air. Now it's Endeavor or something.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
That poor lady that worked out there forever. She ended up giving me drinks and cookies because. I was literally like, what's the movie where the guy lives in the airport? AP, you're a movie guy.
It's called, it's with Tom Hanks. It's called Hangar, right?
Terminal.
Yeah. Well, I felt like I was part of that cast. I just was there for a while. It seemed like multiple years. I was just spending every December or January in there on coaching searches.
I used to work at TYS. We would go to TAC Air and get the cookies on cold days. That's where the That's where the nice stuff was.
That's where the good stuff was, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, if you had a bag that was damaged whenever you were flying, American Airlines, that was
Between
probably,
2010 and 2012. There's
was probably
specifically a
Grant Ramey.
surfboard or something in the month of December that I had a time with. Let's just say that.
It didn't make it. It didn't survive.
I think the statute of limitations is up. It's been
Yeah, I think so.
13
I
years.
remember
I think you're good on that one.
Grant and I were flying somewhere, and we were just sitting there waiting, and I was watching them unload bags or something. I'm like, man, I'd be so upset if somebody just throw my bag around, and Grant's like, you don't understand. We got a
You
job
don't get
to
it.
do.
Hey, you've loaded the entire thing, and up comes a big surfboard. What are you supposed to do with it? I just snapped on it. I lost my
least you-
cool for a second.
At least you tried to put it on a plane. I went to Vegas and checked the bag, and they never put mine on the plane. I was like, okay,
You check the surfboard.
no.
And that'll do it, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the Volquest podcast.
Nobody's ever going to fly again because they know idiots like me were in charge of stuff in the airlines.
There you go.
22-year-old or
Hey, you
however
were in
old I was
charge.
at the time. I was de-icing airplanes. You know,
That's terrifying.
that's terrifying.
He's out there with the Phillips head tightening up the screws.
Yep,
We're
she's on there.
good, Bobby. Take off.
That'll hold
Austin
it.
and I were sitting on the runway or whatever, or I guess we haven't been taxied out yet. And gosh, I guess it was Atlanta. We were
People
flew.
are turning this podcast.
It's okay. I mean, they love it. Some people do. From Baton Rouge to Atlanta to Chattanooga. So like it was literally like a little 5-minute flight or whatever. But they're like, good morning, everybody. We can't get the door shut, so just stand by. And somebody out there like Grant's out there with a screwdriver. Hold on, it's terrifying.
I'll tell you what, you're in that bucket and you're de-icing the wings of the aircraft, and all the people are sitting there looking at you out the window thinking, this dude better be doing his job right. And you're in the
Grant-
bucket. You're in the bucket thinking, I better be doing my job right.
Grant, did you ever use duct tape to help anybody get in the air?
Listen, I did not.
Okay, I feel better then. We could. Austin's ready to move on, so we'll move on now.
All right. Football Fanatic 09. Any more info on Joey A, if he has a shot at returning one more season? How big of a deal would it be if he can, in your opinion?
I mean, I obviously think he led the league in passing. I think it would be, if you could get him back, it'd be great. But what's the timeline? There is no new news for Joey Aguilar and a potential extra year. Again, he's continued to say the right things, but I do think if he were to win the ability to do it, I think that's where things would get really interesting. But what's the timeline? I mean, Tennessee can't wait. Like, if they don't know by the portal opening, they just have to proceed and go get somebody else.
Well, here's my thing on that. Who's the catalyst pushing that deal? Because Joey doesn't seem like a guy who's publicly gonna really. I mean, Diego Pavia for his deal really pushed it publicly, right? Like his people were on a PR marketing campaign to get something done. Obviously, Pavia is going to the Senior Bowl and is going on. I mean, he's not interested in trying to get any kind of extra year or anything like that. My question is there anybody driving the train to try to win over perception? I mean, to me, it feels like it's just kind of stuck in mud because nobody's really pushing for this thing to get on the forefront of anything at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in that regard. This is still Pavia's suit, right? Like, even though he's not going to benefit from it if it wins, this is still Pavia's suit. But to your point, nobody's kind of getting out there and making statements and videos and trying to push this narrative because, again, maybe it's because Pavia is going to be moving on. Maybe somebody needs to take it over. I don't know. But this is Diego Pavia's lawsuit, correct?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
But he's not a part of it. So who's pushing it? I mean, who's driving? Who's filing briefs? Who's asking for court dates? Who's driving all that stuff? Because Pavia's not paying lawyer hours for somebody to do it for him if he has no intentions of being a part of the suit at this point in time. So who's the one trying to get it done?
Hey, everybody, I want to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. It's an app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Incredibly easy to use. Game Time guarantee. That means you can trust up to 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included. So what you see is what you pay for. No surprises at checkout. Game Time is a place where you can buy tickets to games, events. Doesn't have to be just basketball games at the Food City Center or football games at Neyland Stadium next year, baseball in the spring at Lindsey Nelson, softball at Sherry Parker Lee. Could be with the Smokies at downtown Covenant Hill Ballpark. You know, whenever baseball season rolls around, that's where we bought our tickets. Had such a fantastic fantastic time. Me and the family loved it. I could not tell you how easy it was to get those tickets to that baseball game on the Game Time app. But it's also for concerts or events in your area, right? Endless, queues and all that. Sometimes it feels like buying tickets to games or events are sometimes tougher than the game itself. But Game Time picks the zone, I pick the seat, and I watch the savings roll in. It is so much fun. Lowest price guarantee, or Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Plus, they have the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying college basketball, football tickets today with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the redeem code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code ON3, ON3, ON3 for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Also want to give a shout out to Home Field Apparel, the exclusive apparel sponsor of Volquest.com. Basketball season is here. We're going to be going to the Food City Center and watching Tennessee play some really, really good basketball this basketball season. Lady Vols as well. And you want to be decked out and be styling, and you can do that thanks to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. They've got vintage college design, never before seen items just for the University of Tennessee and their fans. Beautiful throwbacks are essentially what I call them. Nostalgia whenever you put that shirt on or that comfortable hoodie on. I've got a hoodie, and I wore it a little bit this past weekend because, again, it's cold outside, and it is so comfortable. Got a big old Tennessee football helmet on the back, interlocking UT on the chest plate here. I got a long sleeve Tennessee football national championship t-shirt that's got all the years Tennessee's won national championships. Got a short sleeve black t-shirt that's got back-to-back SEC titles, 97, 98. Vintage college designs that a lot of you guys have already seen from the Can't Miss Kickoff 2025 campaign, those football boxes, and so much more. So whether it's football season, basketball season, anything in the spring coming up, dress nice and show your Tennessee school pride, the vintage designs, thanks to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Go check it all out today. That's at homefieldapparel.com. That is homefieldapparel.com. Also, a big shout out to our friends over at Whataburger, where Whataburger believes a late night shouldn't prevent you from enjoying a hot, fresh, made-to-order meal. That's why Whataburger is open 24 hours a day, so you can get your favorite burger wherever, whenever it's convenient for you. Treat yourself to a Whataburger or a double Whataburger. What about a double Whataburger with two kinds of melty cheese, bacon, grilled onions? Now we're talking. Whataburger, just the way you like it. New locations on the Strip here in Knoxville, and of course in Powell as well. That is Whataburger. Flyfish 21. It's obvious that Tennessee, this is the most important transfer portal of Heupel's time at Tennessee. How many starters do they need out of the portal? Quarterback, safety, defensive line, linebacker, cornerback, question mark. We had a question about portal a minute ago, but how many starters realistically do you think Tennessee needs to get out of the portal? Or, if not starters, a key rotation type guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's hard to. It's all relative because you can get a really good defensive lineman. He still may not start, but play a ton of reps because that's what Rodney does.
Here's my simple answer. Austin, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You better take whoever you take out of the portal. Better be an impact guy.
Yeah, better be able to start if need be. Legit start, not just start out of emergency.
Yeah, he's got to be either in the regular rotation he's got to be a contributor. You're not spending money in the portal for a depth piece who's just in case type deal. But we're not going to play him unless we just need to. You're going to the portal to get immediate help. That's the whole point of the portal, in my opinion.
And Tennessee really only took 2, maybe 2.5, if you count Star Thomas, of those guys last year, honestly.
I think Tennessee's got to take 8 to 9 players out of the portal. 8 to 9 players out of the portal. And maybe a fraction more. I think as far as they have to 4 to 5 of those guys got to be starters. I think the safeties need to be starters. I think, depending on what Colton Hood does, what else happens in the secondary, let's say Colton Hood decided he wasn't going to go pro. He's going to come back. Tennessee would, obviously want to get that deal done. I think they would. But your front three would be pretty good, right? Ricky Gibson, Ty Redmond, Colton Hood. That'd be a pretty formidable corner nickel. Well, then if you go out and get a couple of really quality safeties, all of a sudden that secondary looks pretty salty. So, I think getting the right players and holding on to players on your team that you feel like can really be a formidable force for you, could be a reason why this thing does flip around pretty good and gives the new DC a real opportunity to have success in year one.
Well, look at last year. I mean, they got four starters out of the portal last year, plus Star Thomas. I mean, where are they if they don't have Wendell Moy? Where are they if they don't have Sam Pendleton? Where are they without Colton Hood? Where are they without Joey Aguilar?
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't need Star Thomas, but the other four were – I mean, look at basketball, Grant. Like, where's this team without Jacoby Gillespie and Jalen Carey? You can flip it, but you got to flip it with guys who can play. I mean, it's not guys who, well, I mean, they're going to average 5 minutes a game on basketball, or, hey, they're the backup piece if somebody gets – I mean, if you're going to spend the money, go spend the money for somebody who steps in immediately and plays, which is what Tennessee did. Like I said, they had 4 guys last year who came in and were starters for Tennessee out of the gate in football.
I forgot about Joey Aguilar. That one would make a whole lot of sense. Since
he played quarterback.
He was the quarterback who led the SEC in passing. Not one of the 3 on the All-SEC teams or 4 on the All-SEC teams. Can you address the Sorsby stuff? A lot of people trying to make tea without the leaves. He's the Cincy quarterback. It would be tampering if Volquest said, yes, Tennessee's made contact. With Joey's status up in the air, needing a third quarterback, his family living in Knoxville, it just makes sense. Anything to add?
I mean, he's a quarterback that most people out there in the portal quarterback agent world think will leave Cincinnati. They think he will go to greener pastures. Texas Tech, he's a Texas kid, so Texas Tech. But now Rayola's been rumored for Texas Tech. Lenore Sellers has been rumored for Miami. And so, there are going to be spots that are going to be looking for a step-in quarterback. His mother and father did move to Hardin Valley because his sister and brother-in-law live in the area and teach and work at Grace Christian. And the brother-in-law, I believe, helps coach football. He's not the head coach. My buddies, Matt and Justin Price, are the head coaches. But I remember them telling me, and it's the reason I knew this, I remember them telling me that Sorsby came down for Cincinnati's bye week, whatever bye week that was, came down to their game because they sent me a picture of the Sorsby guy. I've never even seen the guy. Sent me a picture of the quarterback with one of their sons at the game. So that's where a lot of this comes from. Again, if he goes in the portal, which like most people expect him to do, he's going to have a lot of suitors. And so we'll see what happens with there. And again, what does Tennessee want? Are they wanting just a body, or are they wanting a starter? I think that will determine the direction Tennessee goes when the portal opens up in January.
Tampering's dead, right? I mean, let's be honest. It's all agent.
It's
all
agent
third party. It's all. You can all just blame shift it to whoever, the agents and whoever else. Like, when's the last time anybody was hit for tampering? I think the NFL does more tampering charges than the NCAA.
Well, there's no way for the NCAA to police it.
Right.
There's too many people involved. They don't have the enforcement staff. There's nobody's turning in anybody else. In the NFL, they'll turn in somebody else because there's swift, strong punishment for it. But in the college game, it's the old deal back when what Ed Orgeron said this week, when you're delivering the money in the back door instead of the front door. Nobody turned in the back door people because everybody just kind of. They might use, if they knew that happened, you might threaten the school, hey, you better let that guy go because I'm going to get him, because if you get him, I know what you've done and I'll turn you in for it. That was how they handled tampering back then, or illegal stuff back then. But there wasn't people calling the league office or calling the NCAA very often and turning a school in for, recruiting violations or doing something. And the same thing's going on with tampering. Everybody complains about it, but nobody's enforcing it. There's no way to enforce it.
Yeah, it's just hard to prove. No one was able to prove that Brent Hubbs was going out there as the bag man for Gibbs Wrestling and bringing in all these kids from out of the district to make Gibbs Wrestling a juggernaut.
Should have hung a banner if that were the case.
Had one of the kids living in his house.
On the floor.
Spent more money on Epsom salt to cut weight for those guys, and it didn't pay off for me.
WHVOL.
Epsom salt cuts weight. So if I just go bathe in Epsom salt right now, I could lose all this fat. All right, guys, I'm out.
Well, here's the thing you have to do: no French fries and no chicken fingers. AP, you also can't eat when you do those things.
I thought Epsom salt got rid of bodies.
It gets rid of boils. I had a boil
Multi-use,
10 years ago.
multi-purpose.
My grandma was like, "Go get some Epsom salt and just get in the bathtub." Sure enough, the old home remedy worked.
We might have rented out the greenhouse for guys to run around in garbage bags at some point in time.
This podcast is.
All right, move on.
What, this is the Welcome to the Offseason podcast.
There will be 4 threads talking about how they loved it, and then there will be at least 4 threads talking about, I just wish they'd answer the questions and move on.
Doesn't sound like the general's quarters I know.
Yeah. On to the
Wheels
next
Deals
one there.
VFL. Could the Vols target Kenny Minchey in the transfer portal? Are the Vols going to go after Andre Adams at quarterback for the next class? And will they go after Graham Simpson the following class? Surprised they still haven't offered them.
Minchey, I've not heard his name, but again, I think much like Ty Simpson before this current year, Minchey doesn't have any tape, and so if you're Tennessee or anybody like Tennessee, if you need a quarterback and you're going to try to go get a starter, let's say, then you probably want somebody with proven tape, and I think that's one of the things that would hurt Minchey. Much like I think it hurt Ty before he stuck in there and became the starter at Alabama. You want somebody that's got tape. So I don't think so. I wouldn't rule it out because, again, what does Tennessee want? Do they want a starter? Do they want a body? Minchey wants to be a starter. That's why he's leaving Notre Dame. If you're wanting a starter, you're probably not going to take somebody that doesn't have tape. Andre Adams, I'm surprised they haven't offered either. Would agree. Graham Simpson, for whatever reason, Tennessee's not offered. Now, he came here 2 years ago at camp. Did not perform very well going into his freshman year. Came back this past summer, performed better, but they still have not offered. So, at this point, it's hard to see them offering at this point.
Speaking of Max Johnson, any interest there from Tennessee? He's I'm rumored to be hitting the portal again.
No.
Yeah, I think it depends on what they want.
Correct. And then what does the kid want? Is Max? If you're leaving after 64 different schools, like, aren't you leaving to go be a starter? I don't know.
Didn't he come in when Orgeron was head coach at LSU?
Oh, there was that tweet this week that Hub sent out that was like, all the things that were going on when Max Johnson committed to LSU out of high school, and it was like, like
the iPhone hadn't been invented yet.
Max visited Tennessee when Johnny Majors was the head coach.
Dewey beat Truman that year, and Hubs was born.
Hubs' first year on the beat. Max Johnson came for his OV. Let's do Dalball 5. Grant, with McCoy and Gibson healthy all year long, is Banks a hot head coaching candidate this offseason? Got to think if that were the case, Tennessee beats Georgia and Oklahoma.
Obviously not as hot as he would have been this time a year ago. It's two things can be true where Tennessee needed to make a change and they were just awful on defense and it was a rough year. But it's also pretty evident what kind of building job Tim Banks did from year 1 to year 4 and what that defense was last year. So I think there are some lower level schools that could do a lot worse for a head coach than a Tim Banks, but I don't know optics wise if they go after a coach or what the openings look like right now to begin with that has been fired as a defensive coordinator. But I think I'm sure he'll land on his feet because he did build, a pretty good defense at Tennessee. It just kind of fell apart this past season.
With the news of Utah proposing a deal with private equity, has Tennessee ever dialogued about doing the same? Think larger scale than the ads they've sold to Pilot or Food City. Is this the future of college football? Is this the way we get collective bargaining and real rules and regulations?
I don't know that it gets real rules and regulation or collective bargaining. I don't think Tennessee has explored that path. I think they've been aware that a lot of schools have been, or some schools have been looking at that. I think the question with that, when you deal with private equity, if anybody's dealt with private equity, it's very much bottom line. And it's about profit. It's not about breaking even. A lot of athletic departments are about breaking even because they want to spend as much money as they make. That's not the goal of private equity. So what is private equity going to cut from an expenses standpoint? How are they going to be committed to the fact that breaking even's okay? Or not having a huge profit or a big profit is okay? We'll see. So I think everybody is curious to see how this works in terms of the expectations of what the private equity group is.
AP, why did you shut down the Inge promotion talk so quickly? Was Inge already planning on moving on in February?
I don't think he was planning on moving on in February. He is on an expiring deal, but I just don't think Josh Heupel's going to promote. I don't think that's a thing. I mean, I know that's been his MO, but I think in this instance, his MO also, Brent, has been to not fire anybody. And so I think if he was going to make a move on Tim Banks, it was not going to be to promote from within. That's my opinion. That's why I said no.
Adam Sparks pointed out that we signed double 10 versus the average 5 guys on the defensive line / edge. Is this because they want to get as many guys in the boat while they still have Rodney Garner, or is it because the staff is realizing you have to play defense front to back, not back to front? Looking at you, Ryan Carthon, former general manager of the Tennessee Titans. Who was
I don't think it's getting as many guys in the boat because when anticipation that Garner's leaving or something like that. I think that they need that's a defensive front that has been very veteran laden the last few years because those guys, a lot of those guys stayed around. Now you're going through a transition on the defensive line because you don't have Bryson Eason getting his 6th year, right? You don't have Bailey, for another year. Some of those guys you thought would leave a year or two ago, they all stayed around. Those guys, those options aren't available anymore. So you got to build your depth in that part. And I think that's why you're going after those things. Those are also portal positions because they're commodities, right? I mean, everybody's looking for a defensive tackle. Everybody's looking for an edge guy. So if you got an unhappy edge guy, there's a chance he might leave you, right? I mean, if he's unhappy for whatever reason, then he might leave. I think your turnover at that position is always going to be there, even though it's a developmental spot. So I think it's more about you got to get your numbers back in line. They've had the luxury of not having to go heavy numbers there because guys have stayed around and played for as long as they've stayed around and played at Tennessee.
Dale, 1972. Why are bowl games even a part of the playoff system? It just doesn't make sense to me. Play on campus sites until the championship game. Most likely you'll say corporate sponsorships, but those same corporate sponsorships, could they not just sponsor the games on campuses during the playoffs?
I mean, I don't know what the future is going to be. I mean, what they've been trying to do with the playoffs is as they ease it in, is they've not ripped the Band-Aids off on the bowls. They've tried to thread the tradition, the needle of tradition. Obviously, the Rose Bowl has been a huge, hurdle, I guess you could say, with some of the playoff talk and some of the playoff things as well. I mean, I think we all look at the bowls as they stand right now and think that, hey, the future of the bowls are certainly up in doubt, or what do they look like moving forward? How many corporate sponsors are wanting to sponsor a bowl game? Is the sponsor of the Birmingham Bowl really happy right now? They're on their 8th choice to try to get a team who would be willing to come. Where do you want to spend that money if you're a corporate sponsor? And I think that's the thing when you look at it. That's why the bowl games ultimately will be in trouble in a lot of ways, other than playoff sites. And I think everybody's going to want to play a neutral playoff site as you move through the playoffs, because that way nobody's screaming unfair advantage for somebody, through the seeding process, which everybody's always going to scream unfair advantage. I mean, they do it in the NCAA tournament because somebody plays within closer into their time zone. It's a de facto home game for them. Imagine if you're playing a semifinal game and it's in somebody's venue. I don't think college football is ready to do that like the NFL does right now.
I think from the bowl game perspective, it's because there's, the interest is tenfold for a semifinal versus just a Rose Bowl. I mean, that Georgia, Oklahoma semifinal Rose Bowl, 2015 or something, was a lot different than any other Rose Bowl because so much more was on the line, and those two teams aren't usually in the Rose Bowl. I mean, I do think if you could find a way to have those bowl games back where they're not playoff games, like maybe Notre Dame plays in a bowl game if you can float them the Rose Bowl after getting shut out of the playoff. Tennessee in 22, that was a consolation prize going to the Orange Bowl, but it was a game that Tennessee hadn't played in how long? A while, 25 years. So that felt like something, kind of a reward for a disappointing season. It's just hard to sell the Citrus and ReliQuest and, Outback and all that stuff. Or I'm sorry, the Gator Bowl and all those kind of bowl games.
Grant, we'll stay with you. Iheartvols, did the light bulb go off for Nate in the last 5 minutes of the Illinois game, with him realizing how easily he can get to the rim, and do you expect to see more of this moving forward?
I think he knows he can get to the rim. He's just got to be able to finish better, finish stronger, do so more consistently. I think that unlocks a lot of stuff because I think he is despite his struggles in recent games, I think he's a legit 3-level scorer. I think we've seen that from time to time, just haven't seen it consistently. But yeah, that would be a great start because of his size, his physical skill set. If he could just finish harder and more consistently at the rim, maybe that unlocks some stuff for him moving forward.
AP, this one's from Vols fan 1998. If Coach Josh Heupel goes a different direction with the strength and conditioning coach, is his first call to Tommy Moffitt?
I mean, that's natural because of Moffitt's ties here. I don't know that he would or that he wouldn't. So again, at this point in time, until he makes a move on Kurt Schmidt, then this is a lot of fodder for fans, right, Hubs?
Yeah, keep in mind, Eric probably wasn't born when Tommy Moffitt was here. So, I mean, it's not like Tommy Moffitt has lived a life since he was at the University of Tennessee. I mean, it wasn't like, hey, go back home. Like, he didn't raise his kids in Knoxville, Tennessee. I mean, he was an assistant strength coach underneath John Stuckey, and then went out on his own. I'm not saying he doesn't appreciate Tennessee or doesn't like Tennessee or didn't enjoy his time here, but it's not like his family's here and that's, quote, getting back home, because home for them and that family hasn't been Tennessee. Home for them was Baton Rouge. He raised his entire family in Baton Rouge. So I think people sew his name out because he's a successful guy who was here at one point in time. But, man, that was a long time ago. So I don't know that he would want to come back.
And Schmidt is one of the, coaches that are on an expiring contract right now.
Correct.
Dub P17, does Danny revisit the seats behind the team sideline half empty during big drives? Isn't a good look.
No, he's not going to revisit those. He's not going to call all those people that they built the Transcard Club and go, hey, by the way, you're out. We're just going to open that up to the general population at a reduced price. No. Those are premium seats. They're going to remain premium seats.
Randy G77, if Joey somehow gets cleared of the court case and returns, what do you think his NIL value will be? Over, under $2 million, Austin?
Over.
WHVOL, will the new DC be announced by the weekend? Keep in mind it could change in 5 minutes after we get done recording here.
I mean, I think that's probably what you would like for that to be your best case scenario, but that doesn't. It's just like when you say, and you're right that Josh Heupel's down the road. I think this is going to be a quick surge. 4 hours later, everybody's like, well, why didn't he announce anything? I mean, why is it not done? I mean, remember, Josh Heupel's searches are long. So if you got something done by the weekend, Austin, this would be the fastest search Josh Heupel's ever had in a coaching search situation, probably. So
if he got it done by the first of next week, it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the same guy who, when Golish left and he promoted Halls, it took him another month and a half to promote Alec Ablin. He interviewed Jeff Ferris. He interviewed, I think, one more guy, and then eventually promoted Ablin. But, I mean, it was by no means like this, okay, boom, boom. It was and that was a promotion. So, I mean, again, if he gets it done by either the first of next week, it's moving fast. Problem is there's just not a lot of information.
UT Chuck 54, curious about high school recruiting. Why bother, especially at quarterback? Seems the thing now is to get a portal quarterback and bounce red shirts and true freshmen that aren't ready. I'm so glad Peyton Manning or T. Martin or Heath wasn't playing in NIL times, or we would have missed out on some great Tennessee quarterbacks that are legendary, and I'm sure missing out on others like Condrez Holloway as well.
I mean, it's just a different world, and there are cases where there's high school quarterbacks that it's gone well for them. Not every portal quarterback is a home run. Not every high school quarterback is a home run. I just think that there's no absolute black and white roadmap on how you're supposed to do quarterbacks. It's the same thing in the NFL, right? I mean, you can draft one, and if it hits, then it works out perfect. And if it doesn't, then you missed out. Somebody might take one the Seahawks are pretty good, right? They're not a bad team.
Yeah, they're really good.
I mean, is Sam Darnold is a free agent? He's a transfer, correct? That's not a drafted guy that they had. So there's examples of where that's worked, and there's plenty of examples where it doesn't work. In the NFL, there's plenty of examples of it working and it not working that way in college football as well. So I don't think there is a absolute law on how to do it. Again, I mean, did Miami get $4 million worth of Carson Beck this year? I mean, they're in the playoff. They got a shot. I mean, they lost 2 games they shouldn't have lost. But you know what I'm saying? I think I don't think there's a clear answer to his question.
Yeah, they go and win on the road at Texas A&M next week, and I would tell you, yeah, I mean, that $4 million is well spent. I mean, even getting to the playoff is a nice, check for him. But if he can go on the road and get to that next game against, I think it's Ohio State, then definitely.
Got a couple more here we'll try to work through as we end the mailbag podcast. Loud noises. It seems obvious Legend Bay won't end up at UT. Nonetheless, I'm very curious how the staff is handling this incredibly awkward situation. Can you describe the staff's attitude, efforts here, how they're going about this right now?
Well, I mean, they've talked to Legend multiple times, starting the day after when all those weird social media posts went out. And so, again, I think they're just working through everything. But it just does not feel like at this time, unless something changes, that Legend will be here when kids go to school in January.
Nashville 615, is there a personality type at defensive coordinator you think this team would benefit from? Example, Jim Knowles, Penn State. He's with Penn State this year. Campbell's coming in now. Is older and calculated versus Ryan Walters, appears younger and more energetic. Walters, of course, 39 years old.
I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I've never watched the Jim Knowles practice. I don't know where his energy level is. Is he an old school? I mean, I don't know how they go about that. I mean, I think Josh Heupel needs a defensive coordinator who is experienced at calling defenses. I don't think you should go a co-coordinator route with a guy who's never called a defense before. Who got the title just so they can give him more money and keep him around type deal. I think it's got to be a guy who can step right in and put a defense together, put a plan together, knows what they want, knows their brand, knows their identity, how they play defense, and go from there. So I think take age out of the question. I think you got to go with an experienced guy who can hit the ground running, because I don't think you have time for this to be a 1 or 2 year learning curve and figuring out how to do it in this league or figuring out how to do it at this level.
Entering portal season, do you think Heupel and company have shifted the approach to getting old and staying old? 48% of the roster was freshmen in 2025.
I mean, I don't think they've shifted to be old, AP. I think, again, you're going to go heavy in the portal because you've got more needs this year than you've had in past years. They did make a decision last year to reinvest back into their returning roster, which was young in a lot of places. But where that reinvestment happened, a lot of that worked out well for Tennessee. Now, Boo Carter did not. Jermod McCoy did not get healthy. Ricky Gibson got hurt. But I would tell you that, Mike Matthews was the right move. Chris Brazzell ended up being the right move to retain those guys. So I don't know that it's all about being old. It's all about being young. I think it's about being, what's the best team we can put on the field? What do we need to have?
I mean, you could easily be going, man, Tennessee's just too old. Like, those guys are they need a little bit more youth, a little more a different look. I mean, like, it's all relative, right? You just got it might be about Vanderbilt, which is a much older team.
Yeah, I mean, if you win, it works, right? However you do it, if it wins, it's the right answer. If it doesn't win, then you do the opposite of it. Tennessee's going to go get some experienced guys because they need some mature, experienced guys at some key positions. Safety, I think they need a mature, experienced guy or two at defensive tackle or on the defensive line, and then we'll see what they do at the quarterback position.
The unpopular answer is to all these questions, a lot of these portal versus high school recruiting, is you've got to do well at both.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to succeed in both areas. I mean, Justin Gainey said last week, Tennessee's associate head coach, that this team's kind of struggling, the Tennessee basketball team's kind of struggling to find its identity and what it is, because, you lost guys like Zakai Ziegler and Jemai Mashak, who were developed in that identity and that culture of Tennessee basketball. Like, they knew what it was. Now your 3 seniors are all transfers. Your oldest guys on campus, just one of them, Cade Phillips, just is undergoing shoulder surgery. JP Estrella has been unhealthy, so they're kind of not being able to stay healthy. They're just kind of struggling to find out who they are because a lot of these guys haven't been around for it. So you need some kind of balance between the guys that have been here multiple years and been developed in the program, and also the guys out of the portal where you fill needs and fill those gaps.
3rd and Chavis, higher or lower than 50% that Peyton Lewis is on the team in February, or does he hit the portal? I could be way off here, but it seems like power backs don't fit Hype's offensive system. He is big, but he is also very fast. He's got a unique skill set. Austin, over under 50% right now.
I've always felt like he's not going to be here, but that's just my feeling. I've not heard one way or the other. My feeling has been, he would be one that would be a potential to go find a new spot.
Last question. Given Aguilar's success in a little over 3 months of prep time, has Heupel ever had an advantage or sales pitch like this portal quarterbacks that he's going to have? And should we pursue the top options? Could that be a differentiator to go along with the obvious money that we will command, that they will command?
It all depends on what Tennessee wants. If Tennessee wants a starter, then yes. I think all that helps. Joey being here, 2 blinks before he had to play a game and leading the league in yards. I think all that is a huge feather in Heupel's cap and will be something that they can use to go out and get, either a starter or just a depth piece at the quarterback spot, more specifically a starter if that's what they want to do.
And the counter that other schools will have, if you can get the money equal, is they'll say we can develop you better here for the NFL than what you would get at Tennessee, because Tennessee's not had a quarterback hit in the NFL. So, it goes back to recruiting, right? It's the same conversation that you have with high school kids if your money's in the same, in the same ballpark with everybody. So, yes, there's an advantage because Joey's had success. They got a guy ready in a short period of time to be successful. There'll be people that counter against it saying, the same arguments you're going to hear that you've heard the last few years when it's got ready for pro deal with the receivers and everything else. That narratives other schools will try to use to their advantage to recruit against Tennessee, whether it's in the portal or in the high school ranks.
Lots going on right now. Volquest.com every day on the General's Quarters as well. Tennessee defensive coordinator search. You've got basketball season getting back in action next week. Recruiting never stops. Lots going on right here at Volquest.com. So you don't want to miss out on anything. $1 for your first 2 days. $1 for 2 days, and then kind of go from there. It can be a nice little stocking stuffer this holiday season. A Volquest.com membership for that Tennessee fan in your life. So come check us out every single day at Volquest.com. For Austin Price, Brent Hubbs, Grant Ramey, I'm Eric Kane. Appreciate it. The questions, as always, here on the Thursday morning Volquest Mailbag Podcast.